whenever you're ready.
Good evening, councillors, officers and those watching online. Welcome to this meeting of the Finance Strategy and Management Committee on the 26th of May 2025. Oh, thank goodness we all read our agenda.
Yeah.
2026. Okay, item number 1, appointment of chair. Can I have a proposal, please?
I'd like to propose Councillor Hunt, Rory Hunt.
Second?
Yeah.
Seconder. Any other nominations? All those in favour? That's carried. Appointment of vice chair. To appoint a vice chair of the committee for this year.
I propose Councillor Wiseman.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? All those in favour? Okay. And given the absence of the newly elected chair, I'll chair this as vice chair this meeting. Congratulations to Councillor Hunt for being re-elected. He'll do an excellent job. I hope his leave of absence is over soon and he can sit in and give me an easier ride. Not that it's difficult chairing this meeting, but the officers do a great job in preparing. Okay, item number 3, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillors Hoskins, Hunt and Reynolds.
Okay. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. Public participation. To receive questions from members of the public. There aren't any members of the public here, therefore that item is complete. Item number 6, minutes. To approve the minutes of the committee meeting held on the 14th of April 2026. Okay.
Second. Yeah.
All those in favour? Thank you. To note and approve any recommendations of the River Subcommittee held on the 21st of April 2026. Page.
Page is
So,
Yes, yeah. I haven't put it on page 7. Hang on.
Yes, it's on the amendment. Unfortunately, the finance and in the print papers, the finance and minutes of the wrong way round, basically. So
Okay.
it would be from. Maths, probably around about 46 or so.
45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Just a couple of things worth mentioning is, firstly, the Environment Agency did hold an open day drop-in event here last week, which was very well attended. I haven't seen any feedback from them yet, and they presented us with the outline design and a limited degree of time frames and also fundraising ideas. But they did at least communicate that they do have designs that they can publish, and we hope they are going to provide a timetable soon. The story in the Heavenly Herald was rather unfortunate, which suggested that the meeting was unsuccessful. I don't accept that at all. I think the meeting was successful, but people are eager to see that there is a detailed design, that the funding has more detail in it, and that we get a date and a costing for the final work to rebuild the bridge. So although there was, we're still waiting plenty more information, the meeting did indicate that the Environment Agency are taking this seriously, the rebuilding of the bridge, and I think that's a positive step. Even if we do think that the Environment Agency and our taxes should be funding the rebuild, the Environment Agency do not have the money, and therefore it won't happen if we rely on simply the Environment Agency to fund that.
Councillor Iceman, can I just add? It had really good coverage on the television. It was on BBC South Today. I was just disappointed that they didn't have scan this QR code to contribute. Now,
Yes,
can't win them all, I suppose.
I didn't realise it had been on TV.
BBC South Today.
Right, okay, probably
So Daisy
gone off
or
now,
I don't know,
Only last
Environment
couple.
Agency, joint enterprise. I don't know.
The only other item is that I did attend, was invited to the Henley Sewage Treatment Centre last week, and I spent a couple of hours there walking around that with quite a few of the Thames Water employees who were very enthusiastic and very clear about the improvements and the investment that's been taking place on that site. And they were very friendly and helpful. And I only felt slightly guilty about the criticisms that this council and I've made about Thames Water. But to be clear, we don't blame the employees, those who do the work. It's the senior management, it's the Environment Agency as regulator, and the remote investors around the world who caused this to happen. And unfortunately, although it's the Henley Sewage Treatment Works, it is it's downstream of Henley, and therefore we don't get the benefit of the town centre because the Wargrave Sewage Treatment Centre, which is much larger and hasn't been modernised yet, is still in a poor state.
Did they mention it at all, these staff?
I did ask them about that, and I was told firmly by Amanda, who was extremely helpful, that that's Berkshire and I'm Oxfordshire. But I don't think there's any plans. What it shows is that with investment, if the money is properly invested in our water infrastructure, then the improvement is immediate. There's already been a very significant ability to process throughput, which has increased from 67 to 83 litres a second. But also there are extra treatments which remove nitrates and phosphates and more of the small particulates, which you can go into more detail. But I've got a great picture of before and after. Two clear bottles, well, a clear bottle and a bottle that's rather less clear. And I'll send out the pictures. Okay, so those are river items. Can we have a proposal to accept the minutes of that meeting? So Miller, all those in favour? Right. Right. The next item is finance to receive the management accounts for the year ending the 31st of March. So these are the final year accounts that we can see here. And who would like to introduce those? Which of you two? Ladies, I think you do most of the work.
Well, on the year-end accounts, which we just had checked by the internal auditor, we are now reporting a surplus of £121,837. We did originally, maybe 6 months ago already, we started thinking we were very conservative and we thought we were not even going to make the budgeted surplus of £100,000. We've been very careful with expenditure, but not to the detriment of what the council has to deliver. We've just been very careful and also looking for areas of improvement where we can minimize how we spend the money. All in all, is 121,000. There are main variances. For example, I'm just going to mention a couple, but of course we know that in the budget we were supposed to be giving £20,000 to the River and Rowing Museum, and that did not happen. So that's a significant amount of money. And also there was a reduction on £10,000 that were an accounting item that we had from 2021. So that was reversed. And there are other areas where we've not spent as much as we thought we would, mainly with the 3G pitch, just because of the delay on when we started using the 3G pitch and how we have to give money to the Football Foundation. We do have a commitment to give them an amount of money every year towards the provision of the new 3G pitch. And that amount that we need to give started in September as opposed to earlier on during the year. So all in all, it's a surplus of 121,000.
Big news.
Very good.
Yeah.
I can certainly say that the newly elected chair of this committee was delighted that we have, for the first time in many years, I think, we're on surplus over the budget. The budget for a surplus of 100,000. 121,000 is the eventual surplus. And we're not here to make a profit. What we are here to do is to make sure that our financial reserves are sufficient And our 5-year financial plan has been showing that we are rather tight on our reserves, and we have a number of overheads coming up, significant capital projects which we need to fund, and so the making that surplus, which did look in doubt earlier this year, is an excellent result, and it shows that if we're careful, we can both increase our revenue, reduce costs, but also keep the services maintained that we want the residents to receive. Any other comments on that, Councillor Gaetz?
Yes, I was just going to pick up on that it's great credit to the officers, Mercedes and Sheridan, who has done the finances to actually create a surplus. But it's good. But also we should thank this finance committee of last year for doing it. And how many times has Rory, as chair, actually said we've got to try and make a surplus? We've got to try and make a surplus. When we were budgeting for a deficit, no, he tried his best to actually create the surplus, which we have now. So it's good news, because the background to this is that at some point, 5 years' time, we've got to fix the roof. So therefore, we will need a series of surpluses going forward to actually to fix the town hall repairs, which of course we're duty bound to do. But well done to all the finance committee, and of course the councillors, all the councillors of Henley Town Council. Great.
I just want to add page 11, or maybe a different page number in your case, depending on which version. That's also show other spend that we've had. So it's not part of the income and expenditure budget, but of course you can see that last year we spent 1.1 million on capital expenditure. We did receive funding for a value of 647,000. So that will be on the main page. So that's just below the total.
Oh, I see.
So just on the front page of the management account.
I've got it, yeah.
So where it says, so we've got the summary,
Yeah.
and just below the summary, there are a few, 4 lines with other income spent outside of the revenue budget. So they're not part of the revenue, is capital spend. That was still is a significant amount spent on assets. There was a significant amount received on funding for the 3G pitch, but that's an important addition to the assets of the council. And in terms of, I know we don't put the realized gains and losses on investments on the revenue budget, but actually the overall gain on investments was 151,000, nearly 152,000 pounds. And they are realized because when the investment is sold, is the difference between the proceeds of the investment minus the cost of that particular investment. So they have actually been realized. It's nothing to do with market value versus book value. And if they are realized gains, that means that we can buy more on investments and produce the income that those investments need to produce, which are on the revenue budget. Hopefully I made sense with what I said.
How do we finance the investment deficit? If we've got a £390,000 deficit, how are we financing that? I mean, we're investing more than we have raised to invest. The 390k figure.
As in our reserves are we're currently
we're
drawing down our
drawing
reserves.
that.
Well, some of the capital projects will be revenue generating, like the 3G pitch in theory. However, we're also reliant on some upcoming disposals, including the agreement at the Fairmont. And sale receipts and things like that.
No, good to know. Thank you.
If you want to see the full plan, the 5-year financial forecast is available. It's not in this document set, but that gives a reasonably clear. And I'm happy to sit down with you over there and go through it. It's a good question. If we're spending all this capital expenditure, how do we afford it?
But it's a great sum to be invested in.
Yeah.
It's got to get paid, and then obviously it pays back.
A large part of that was the 3G pitch,
Yeah.
and what we're having to do is to pay for its renewal. So we have an annual sum that actually goes to the Football Foundation for its replacement in 15, 20 years' time, whatever that is. So we're getting some income, but we're also reinvesting it. And the same with Adventure Golf. We need to make sure that we set aside, and the 2G pitch, we had a reserve, £200,000 approximately set aside, so we could refurbish it, knowing that we'd be having to do that. But there is a 5-year plan, which. No, it's a very good question.
Just interested.
Glad you brought it up, but we do have the assets. And that 5-year plan is relatively new. This is something we did about 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. And otherwise, all we had were these single-year figures. And when we did first do that, it did draw attention to the fact that we had some tight years coming up if we weren't careful. We were continuing to draw down our reserves without adding to the reserves by running this surplus for a short while. The other thing I was going to add about the capital. So if we spent £1 million on capital expenditure, but our total capital and reserves seems to have gone up by 6 million from a year ago. How did that work?
To explain.
Well, that's an accounting, that sounds very bad for me to say in accounting.
Oh, sorry, I suppose I shouldn't have asked.
No, it's actually, and it's the fixed assets. Before we used to account, so we used to have the fixed asset minus the depreciation. But because we haven't got sorry, do you mean, just to clarify, do you mean that now we've got 23 and before we had 17?
That's right, that's what it looks
Yes.
like to me.
Yes, so before the value of the capital financing and revaluation account, which is showing us 20 now. So if one of the items there, that will be page 17 for some of you, it will be 5 or 6 pages long.
I've got it as
more for
page
you.
11 in my printed copy.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Possibly page 11.
Yeah, but
There's the figure in yellow.
Okay, so if you look at the 31st of March 2025, the capital financing and revaluation account was worth 14,000 and now it's 20K. So it's obviously we've added capital, but before we used to do the cost of the asset minus the depreciation. We've actually reversed the depreciation because it's not something that is used in local councils. So what we have is the assets, the overall value has increased because it's at book value instead of.
is that something the auditor wanted us to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think for comparable purposes, what I should do is to show, usually when we change how we account for something, then the previous year gets adapted to how it's done now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not comparable. But we've just done it 3 weeks ago. So.
Yeah.
We haven't suddenly gained £6 million worth of assets.
No, I think the
in reality.
bottom.
We gained 1.2 million.
Obviously, yes,
Yes.
because of the
Yeah.
investment in the 3G pitch
Yeah.
program.
I wouldn't spend too long on it, so it's because Ian's the only one interested in it.
I'm going to say the bottom line is, I think that
Itself.
I actually looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to add a comment about this. I just ran out of time. But the general fund balance has changed from 1.4 million to 1.8 million.
Yes.
And that's one of the key indicators is.
That's an important figure because that's the amount of surpluses that we've built over decades. And that's the amount, if we do run a deficit, that we can use. The council's not allowed to go into debt. And so if we didn't have any reserves, general reserve in particular, we wouldn't be able to run a deficit. And that would have meant we'd have to budget more cautiously. And so having increased that amount, it's at a more comfortable level than it was. And again, that was one of the things that stood out clearly when we first looked at our five-year plan. And it is relatively high for a council, but that's because we have a lot of assets to maintain this building, for example. There's a huge potential overhead, and so it's a great deal of risk that we have to make sure that we are protected against if there are unexpected costs. Okay, are there any more questions? on the figures. I'm sure Councillor Cabashak, because I'm in the So can I propose that we accept
Just to receive.
these figures and congratulate the officers on the excellent work they've done in both budgeting quite closely to well weather and also making sure that in practice we've ended up with a slight extra on top of that surplus. I propose that. Okay, all's in favour? Thank you. So we don't have the investment reports at this point. I think the figures weren't available. So we may be able to, you may be able to send those out afterwards, so we can look at those perhaps before full council. There are also the bank reconciliation summary of payments, and that's any queries about that proposal. We note those. All those in favour of noting those? One thing that I was going to raise about those, we very rarely discuss them. About 3 years ago, I was asked by the town clerk, do we still need to publish these on the agenda? And I said I'd like to be.
I don't think I said that. It may be in finance manager, but I don't think it was myself.
I think it's just not that we don't attach it to the agenda. We don't print it all out. Sure. I think sorry, I apologise for paraphrasing. There's an awful. I mean, we have a 200-page agenda here, and 30 or 40 of those pages we rarely discuss. So I'd like to consider that we attach it as an annex, and it's available electronically, but we don't print it out for those in the public this meeting or to councillors. But if councillors do want to see them, they'll be published on the website, but not hard copies of the annex will no longer be printed. Is that something that councillors feel okay about?
Yeah.
Fine. Trying to make us a bit more sustainable. That's my plan.
Yeah.
And thank you to the town clerk for his suggestion. Okay, item number 8, expenditure. So now we've been looking at how we've been doing, and now we're going to spend some of our 127,000. Although in fact this could be mostly capital. So it's up to 23,000. This is little A, 8A. Up to 23,000 from Civil Community Infrastructure Levy for a new electric vehicle, and that's as a report on page 49. And again, I'm particularly pleased to see this. For many years, we've been looking to try and recognise that we have declared a nature and climate change emergency, and that avoiding fossil fuel-driven vehicles. Although we do use hydrogen and vegetable oil, clearly an electric vehicle is a better solution in terms of emissions. And this is the first time I think we've found one that does suit the spec. So it's a significant step for us. Does anyone have any other comments? Okay, the report is, I think, fairly clear and straightforward. So we have a proposal on page 52, I think. Which is that we approve 23,686 for the purchase of a newly fully electric van, funding to come from SIL. Would someone like to propose that? Second. So Miller. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. Next is letter B, which is 1,439 from SIL for the licence of the parking space at Upper Marketplace for the Car Club car.
I'm happy to speak to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is just a small annual amount. It's more of an accounting process, really. So so the car club car, it takes up a parking space at Upper Marketplace that we would otherwise license out to the local residents. And so the idea is that we take the cost back from SIL, and then we take that as income to our revenue budget. So it's moving the numbers about, but it's not expenditure in any real sense.
Okay, a proposal that we go ahead with that, Councillor.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Gavin, is that all in favour? Thank you. We have 2 car club cars available, don't we?
We do.
Plus a third one with the county.
Yes, yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see a report back on that at some point. We haven't seen any any usage figures. I understand the scheme's going well, but it would be nice to do that. Maybe the Transport Steering Group can take a look at that. We have a meeting. £20,000 for sale for professional fees to complete the planning application for 353-357 Reading Road. This, I believe, is outline permission for the housing aspect of the of the plan. The pavilion, of course, is still just about to finish getting its outline planning permission. We're very close there. So that's the Thomas, you're the chair.
This is up to, remember, so that money may not all be spent, but the outstanding amount, unfortunately, South Oxfordshire District Council keep coming back with, oh, you now need this, oh, and you now need this, and it just goes on and on. It's quite extraordinary, really, for an outline planning commission, but we've got to get this over the line. So we shouldn't need to spend all of that, but it's just a contingency in case we do have another unexpected expense.
So we have a proposal in 5.1. Would you like to make that proposal?
Yeah, sure. Can you just remind me the page number?
It's page number 54. So, and it is for both the for both parts of the site. Let's remember that one. I said it was
Page, sorry, 54.
54. 54 on mine.
Yes, it should be 54 on everybody's.
Okay, so I'd like to recommend 5.1 in full, that the council allocates, it should say up to.
It should say up to. You're right.
Up to 20,000 from community infrastructure levy reserves to the 353-357 Reading Road project to support the completion of the planning application for housing and the clubhouse, i.e. pavilion, at the same address, Reading Road and Jubilee Park.
Okay, second for that. All those in favour? Thank you. Right. Last of the expenditure is £7,177.37 from the car park revenue budget over the next 3 years for the renewal of the car parking payment machine, and there's a report on page 55.
I mean, I presume that these car parking machines, the public and staff are still happy with the way they work, because technology moves on so quickly in these sorts of circumstances.
Yes,
You're all happy with them, with the company and the operation of them.
Yeah, we're very happy with it. We've reduced cash on it. A lot more people are using it. You can pay by phone as well, so there are different options as well. And we have made tweaks to the machines over the years to simplify them as well. But yeah, so with the, I think it's 4 machines that we currently have.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, so per year it's about £500 per machine per year, and of course we generate about 300,000. So it's a good investment.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Our car park down there, yes, is our single most profitable facility, I think. Right, we have a proposal at the bottom of page 56. Can someone propose that again?
I'll propose.
Okay, Councillor Miller. Councillor Gavin secondly. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, so we now move on to policies. I did accuse this of being Sheridan's favourite subject. And so we have the strategic risk assessment first. Does anyone have any comments on that?
Which one? The both
This
of
is,
them or
this
just
is,
the first one?
let's just do the strategic risk assessment first. And, the only comment I have, I'm not sure if the town clerk will, is that the risk level of over-reliance on key individuals, it could arguably say reduced, as 2 of our senior management team were coming up to retirement last year and now have retired, and we have, I think, very successfully replaced them. That is the deputy clerk and the reputation agencies administrator. So those 2 have now been, I think, someone working in those 2 roles for about a year now. So I did suggest that the risk level could be reduced, but to reflect that the fact that being left with losing two very effective members of staff and having to replace them includes some risk. But I don't feel strongly the town clerk is going to say we keep it as it is.
I would advise keep it as it is, simply because as a small team, there will always be a certain amount of reliance on key individuals, any member of staff, even if they're senior management or more junior members of staff. And there is always a very real possibility that you will lose key staff for whatever reason. So I would be happier keeping that as a medium risk. But I do think we have things in place to try and retain staff as best as possible and to develop them. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm satisfied that the actions we have are happening. I'm chatting that the risk level is reduced. So, anyone else got any other comments? Okay, and a proposal that we accept that. It's an excellent document. It's a very good coverage of the way we work and the steps that we need to make sure are in place to mitigate the significant risks that a large organisation like the Town Council always has. I think nothing else changed. There weren't any changes, were there? Okay. I'm happy to propose from the chair that we accept that. One second. Any other comments? All those in favour? Secondly, the staff handbook. This was a monumental read.
Yes, it was. Goodness me. I'm very impressed with the level of detail. I know. I think our staff handbook's about 50 pages long.
Yes, my old company, it was half that, I think, 25. But yeah, I mean, we have a number of law, state government laws, which and good practices that we have to follow in terms of employment, particularly. And so it's natural that it's right that we make sure that we clearly say what we do and what people's rights and responsibilities are. And yeah, the town clerk has done an excellent job here.
Excellent, yeah.
So but some of the main changes in the policies that are on are mainly a reflection of the recently passed Employment Act, which has increased employees' rights, particularly as they start. So those are the main changes, I think, possibly the only changes. And the new policies at the end are all look fine to me. Anyone else have any other thoughts or comments on that? I think it's in the second half. Okay. Some more. Okay. So a kind of proposal that we accept those and approve them rather.
Yep.
All those in favour? Right, thank you. Right, coming back to the item 10 now, the subcommittee working group membership. And to find my
189.
yeah, various old documents here. I can't find my second half of my agenda. If you've got a copy, that would be helpful. But we have, there are three here on the, that we've got this price review. I've got that somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, thank you, Cheryl. So let's do these one at a time. I'm going to also add in the moment at the end, reforming the investment managers working group as well. So the River Subcommittee, which is possibly our biggest ever committee. Well, maybe it's 10 to anyway, do any councillors wish to not stand who are on that, or wish to come on that committee? I think in terms of reference, say 5 councillors exactly. Yes. So there are 5. Is everyone happy with the councillors' representation? And also the membership is listed in section 1.1 of the terms of reference. And they're all organisations which are stakeholders rather than individuals. The only individuals are councillors representing the town council. Well, yes, town council. Interestingly, we don't have district and county councillors. specifically. Oh, no, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, we did South Oxfordshire and Oxfordshire County Council. So presumably, Councillor Gavishaw for Oxfordshire and the South Oxfordshire District Council, who would, I guess,
I think it might be Joe Rob.
yes, that sounds right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she certainly attends. Okay, can I propose then that the River Subcommittee is formed as on the agenda? Okay, all those in favour? Similarly, the Financial Planning and Scrutiny Working Group, I think that the two of those are currently on long-term leave of absence, Councillor Hoskins and Councillor Romans, and I suspect it would be a good idea to try and recruit those who are able to attend back onto that. When do we generally meet? What's the time of day?
It's a bit of a movable feast.
I think it is,
I think it's often before FSM.
Yeah.
So around about.
We have to meet at about 6:30. Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah. So, would anyone like to join this this group? It's more interesting than you might think.
I mean, I don't mind joining if we can work out the times to suit everybody. It's one of those difficult ones where there is a member of the public that's on it and they can only make certain times, I think.
No,
This is the financial
this
planning.
this is financial planning and
No,
scrutiny.
it's just councillors. So we
Oh, which
can
one
work out the
is,
time.
which
for
one
you.
is that one on there?
The investment managers working group.
Oh,
that we're doing
okay.
at the moment.
Yeah.
That has got a non-council. But
Okay.
this,
Yeah, as long as it's,
so I think I
you
wouldn't.
can work out time-wise for everybody.
That should be okay, yes. Because generally, the problem with Councillor Hunter knew was that he could do 12 to 2, you could do after 3. But if we hold them at 6:30 before finance, then we also have the discipline of having to.
Just before
have to attend-
finance
Yeah,
would
so
be better
6:30.
for me because
Yeah.
6:30 is a difficult time for me.
Yeah, we generally take about an hour.
Who are you proposing
6:30
coming
should
off?
be okay.
Councillor Hoskins
Come
and Councillor Romans, I would suggest come on.
Right, okay. Right.
So Councillor Thompson, anyone else like to? What we can do is we can add in a further member at full council.
Why don't we make the quorum smaller?
I think it's probably just 2 members.
It says the group shall consist of 6 councillors and
Yeah,
quorum is
that's
3.
Oh, I see, it's already
Quorum isn't
through.
a
Okay,
problem.
fine.
I
yeah.
just,
I said,
it's a reasonably important group. I'm happy to, it says does it say up to 6? Or we shall consist of 6, but we could just do 5 and amend the terms of reference if we choose.
Well, we can carry on with the 6, just approve 5 for now, and then any other councillors who want to come on and join, they can.
perhaps if you send out an email with the kind of work that it does.
Yeah.
And councillors might think, actually, yeah, I think I could contribute to that because,
That's a good
I mean, financial planning, I've obviously got an idea of what that is, but does it cover all the committees? Is it just what finance consider? Scrutiny, I think I know what it is, but I think if more councillors understood what it does, they may want to join.
One of the important things that it does, there are others, but is that when the new budget is being set, that group scrutinises it and looking for revenue, increase in revenue and also expenditure reductions. So it's that cycle coming up to budgets.
Yeah.
It is
So
really
the
vital.
budget setting process is
So-
one thing it gets quite
And there are
active
3
in.
a year, aren't there? 3 cycles?
Yes,
Yes.
and the other thing it does, we're referencing our earlier conversation, is that it bases a fair amount of the conversation, certainly non-budget side, on the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan really should be setting our very high level spending envelope, and then that filters down through to the committees and then the committee proposals are aggregated and we match them against the 5-year plan. So if you're interested in the 5-year plan, Councillor Payne, what I'll do is I'll do what you suggest, and I'll ask the
Doesn't have to be
send round the
lots and
5-year
lots of
plan.
information in a summary, really.
It's 2 spreadsheet size. It takes a little bit to get your head around, but it's not a 100-page document or anything like that.
Sometimes there are external factors that come into play that you can't do anything about. I mean, 357 is a good example of that.
Well, as the accountant explained earlier, there are variances all the time, and we'll see those get presented from the year that's just finished, and we can look at those, and again, those will feed, the FPS committee will look at those and decide if there are budgeting lessons to be learned. But as you say, there are always things which happen which are unexpected one way or the other, and some of them are a bank area in our favour, and some of them are not. So I think you were suggesting we just leave it at 5 for now and see if the sixth person wants to come on.
Are we doing terms of reference at the same time, or are we coming to that afterwards?
We can come to that afterwards,
Okay.
except that, do you think it's okay to leave a gap pending councillor volunteering, given terms of reference, 6 councillors?
Just amend the terms of reference.
That's the simplest thing to do.
Actually, quite simply, you can just leave the membership as is and then have
And then
a
use subs.
We could do that, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's simpler, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so to save amending the terms of reference, let's take the proposal as we, I think we replace Councillor Hoskins with Councillor Thomas, and we leave the we leave Councillor Owens in place, who I think is more likely to finish his leave of absence sooner rather than Councillor Hoskins. So I propose that. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favour? And not lastly, but lastly on this list, but we've got the investment managers, the Reading Road Working Group. That's myself, Councillor Plant, and Councillor Thomas. I'm hoping Councillor Plant will be able to. He has attended some of those meetings, so I'm happy that he can continue. Are you happy to continue on
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a long-standing project. We're into double-figure years now.
Yeah.
So we've got the 3G pitch, we've got the 2G pitch, and almost got planning permission. So yes, I propose that we reappoint the 35357 working group. Those in favour? And lastly, the investment management working group, which is there. It's completed phase 1 of its project, which is to review our investment policy. And what we need to do now is approach and meet with our investment managers themselves and discuss the changes to policy. And it leads us to plan that discussion, the next meeting of that committee, and then the meeting after that will be to meet the investment managers. So the current committee is myself, Councillor Hunt, Ian Hunt, and I think it's Lawrence Plant. Yes, it is Lawrence Plant. And I'd like Councillor Thomas to come on that, and I hope that we'll be able to arrange a suitable time for all those people to be on it. We don't have the terms of reference here, so I don't know if
We can just say terms of reference as.
and then the terms of reference to reflect the fact that there are 5 councillors.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I propose that. All those in favour? Thank you. Exclusion of the press and public. To consider the public and press be excluded from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the public body's admissions to meeting Act 1960 as publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business. I so move. All in favour?
Councillor Wiseman, can I just say something just before we move on to the confidential to do the terms of reference? I came across a really interesting. Is this turned on?
Wait 1 second.
I mean, it's not something confidential, but it's not really